Hey guys, welcome back to the Arts Project. Today we're doing a Q&A show. Roll the intro. DIY, roll the intros.
Sorry, man.
Too many chords and shit around, eh? Hey guys, welcome back to the Q&A show. Bit of a different vibe here in the podcast studio. But I've got Lukey behind the mic, ready to ask you guys questions. So here we go.
Here we go. So we have some brothers. They're in business together. They work well together, but sometimes they can argue over things like money and the different roles within their business. Do you have any tips not to stop arguing, but better ways to deal with it?
So the first thing you got to figure out when you go into business with your friends and family is like who actually owns the business. You need to negotiate that straight away and straight off the bat. So here's a piece of the pie. What's my piece worth? So say YKTR, for example, when we went into negotiations, I negotiated like a little bit more. I asked for 3% more of the two boys because I felt like I've earned it through not equity in terms of money, but like sweat equity. And the boys agreed. So I got a little bit more, but once you figure out who actually owns the business, that just stays there. So the second part of your business is over here when you're talking about your day-to-day running. And I always use sports analogies, and everyone needs their own positions, or you need an organization chart. So here at YKTR, so it'll be me here at the top, and then down here, go down to Lukey. And what's Lukey's roles? Lukey's role to look after YKTR Sports, look after content, look after podcasts, look after Instagram over the weekend. So his roles are defined and they're clear. Then I've got Natasha. She's over here. Her role's to look after customer service and operations and a little bit of PA work as well. So she knows what her role is. Lukey knows what his role is. I know what my role is. And then no one gets confused. It's very similar to football when you get props starting to worry about what the wingers are doing and when wingers are starting to worry about what the halfbacks are doing. It starts to get messy. So everyone needs their own roles within the day-to-day running of a business, and it just needs to be nice and clear and defined. It does help if there is kind of a boss there, someone that you can report to as well. Who's the best brother for that leadership role? Might take some self-awareness for, might be you, might be your older brother. You might be go, hey, let me just take a step back. You run the day-to-day operations. This is my job here. This is what I'll do. And once there's clear, defined roles, I feel like it's hard to argue because you know what your roles are. It's black and white. So one, sort out the equity, who owns what. And then two, get an organization chart. So what's your role in the business? What's my day-to-day tasks? And roll off the back of that. And I feel like it's a really good system to have. Next question.
What is more crucial, the idea or the execution? I'm struggling with committing.
What do you reckon, Licky?
Definitely the execution.
It definitely execution. There's a million people that have ideas, and what's that saying? Like there's a bunch of millionaires in the graveyard or something like that. Something like that. I'm just paraphrasing there, but yeah, everyone's got ideas. Like everyone comes up with a new idea for a clothing brand, for the podcast, for the vlogs, and the amount of times I've actually heard it compared to the amount of times that someone has actually executed it, it's fucking chalk and cheese. And Ronnie Palmer, one of my old trainers, used to go to me, you can't build a reputation on something that you're going to do. So you build a reputation by actually doing it. So execution is always going to be where the game's at. So next.
I think that's one of the questions where just by asking it, you already know the answer.
Yeah, some people just need confirmation, and this is it. Execution is the game.
You can do it, brother. Next one, any tips on applying discipline? I know what I need to do and want to, just can't be fucked. What chapter was that in Atomic Habits?
That's one of the great questions, and that's a common one. But I think a lot of people get discipline confused with motivation confused with. Well, what was the question again?
Any tips on applying discipline?
Discipline. You got to build good systems. So you got to build good habits. One of the best things I can recommend you do is read a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I recommend this book all the time, but it gives you a couple of basic tools to use. And one I'll talk about is habit stacking. So what habit stacking is like combining a certain amount of things. So like there's a process like 1, 2, 3 before you get to do the things that you normally do. So say you brush your teeth every single day and you want to practice gratitude. Before you brush your teeth, think of 3 things you're grateful for, and then it's something you're automatically always going to do, which is brush your teeth. So write a list of things that you always do every single day: brush your teeth, eat, put on your shoes, stuff like that, and then do a list of stuff that you actually want to do or you want to get better at, and then combine the two together. And that's kind of habit stacking. That's a great way to do it. Find accountability is always important. I find with exercise, for example, if I train on my own, I do like training on my own. I don't perform as well as I do when I train with a group. So we've got a thing called the Kiddies Run Club. We get together on Wednesdays and go for a run. I run a lot better in a better environment too. So one, read Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's one of the greatest books I've ever read. Two, change your environment. Get around people who lift you up and who are disciplined and motivated. And you'll sort of just, there's a great saying that the rising tide raises all ships, and get on their tide and just sort of roll with them. So those are my two pieces of advice.
All right, next one we have what to invest in your early 20s. What to invest into in your early 20s?
Obviously, the two ones are like shares and real estate. Those are the ones that two people go for. Real estate's like the most common one. It's something that we've been told as a kid. Grow up, get a safe job, get married, buy a house. And when I talk about real estate, a lot of people get really like frustrated and upset about it and start DMing me. It's like, you should get on the property ladder straight away. But I want to go against both of those for now. I do want you to start practice saving. But the best thing you can invest in is yourself. And that sounds super corny, but the best thing you can invest in is your brain. I always talk about spend 10% of your money on your brain. So every 10 cents out of every dollar should be going towards your future education. So if you think about a lot of people that work within a job, they've got a skill set, they go to work, they get paid for that skill set, and that's usually where they stop, and they'll get stuck in that job for a long time, and then they'll start to get bored and get older and start to get regrets. If you're not trying to upskill yourself outside of your normal job, you're not going to be able to pivot anywhere. I talk about side hustling. I talk about all this sort of shit. Education, side hustling, all should start with education. So invest in your brain, invest in yourself, invest in your health. Don't do anything stupid. Don't. I talked about this on my
TikTok.
Yeah, on my TikTok.
Don't go to jail.
Don't go to jail. Don't get married too early. If just because society's telling you to get married, don't buy a house too early. Invest in your brain. Invest in experiences. Invest in your education and your brain, and sort of go judge yourself. Like, I didn't start YKT until I was 27, 28. So don't be in a rush. There's no rush. You'll feel exactly the same. Gary Vee used to always say this, like, you'll feel exactly the same. And I'm 31. I feel like I'm 18. Just with a bit more experience behind me. So don't rush, invest in your brain.
Next one is tips to starting out as an entrepreneur.
It's a tough question because the way I'll do it, the question I'd ask myself is, if I got to wake up and do anything every single day, what would it be? And I work backwards off that. So you reverse engineer yourself. What would I love to do every single day? What would I be excited to do every single day? Reverse engineer and then figure out how to monetize it, and then you become an entrepreneur. I think rolling in just going, I want to own a business, but not really knowing what to do, it's kind of tricky, because then you'll just jump into any type of business. And I've got friends that want to be entrepreneurs and business owners, but they'll just jump into things that they're actually not even passionate about. And if you jump into things you're not passionate about, when it starts to get tough and the money doesn't start coming in and the sales don't come in and the customers don't come in, it gets really hard. But when it's fun for you, when you actually enjoy it, it's a lot easier, because you can push through those things because it's fun. It's hard to beat someone where they're having fun with it. So for me, this is fun. I enjoy running a business and starting new businesses. This is fun for me. So make sure you actually want to go into entrepreneurship, but then reverse engineer yourself. What could I do every single day? And then trying to monetize off the back of it.
We have Dylan with the next one. I have an idea of a product, but no idea where to begin.
Such a broad question, eh? Usually the start, like, is it a what do you say, a product? A
product. So he hasn't given the idea for us so we can go start it. He's left that out.
It's a t-shirt company,
beauty.
You got to figure out how to make the product first. If you've got nothing to sell, you don't have a business there. So usually I'll jump on, if I want to figure something out, jump on Google or jump on YouTube to figure out how to do it. It's a university of free education on the internet, on our smartphones, that we'll sort of waste our time on. But go onto Google, type your product in. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be an original idea. If it was, you'd be a fucking genius. But go into Google, type out how to make whatever, and then they'll sort of give you a basic knowledge of it. Whether you get it made in China, I don't know. It's hard to describe because I don't really know your product. But say it's clothing, figure out how to find a manufacturer, figure out how to get a screen printer local, get the cost in that, get some money, buy it, and try and sell it. Simple as that.
Ice, what's your best advice for podcasting, making it flow, building confidence, etc.?
I remember I showed you a video of one of my first vlogs, and you're like, oh, fuck, you can't even speak properly.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. second weekend to work is so spraying me. But it just comes with repetition. If you look at anything in life, anyone that's got good at something, they've obviously practiced at it. And like I've made 150 vlogs now, probably be on 150 podcasts. If you listen to some of my early stuff compared to now, I couldn't talk either. So just practice. It's like a kid starting to walk. Like they'll get up, fall down, get up, fall down. But over time, they'll just get better and better and better. And sooner or later, you're walking, and then you're jogging, and then you can run. So practice.
Any tips for someone who's getting into exercise / weight training?
Exercise is like when I say exercise, like my mind always goes to the hardest thing possible. I'm like, oh fuck, I can't be bothered like running or doing burpees or something like that. But if you want to do exercise, do something fun. So like playing basketball is fun for us. Like I'm enjoying running at the moment. I don't really do too much weights, but sort of similar to before, like find someone who's on the same level as you or someone that's better than you, hang around with them, and start training with them. Educate yourself. Don't just go into the gym and start throwing about stupid weights. Jump on Google, find someone that you resonate with. Jump on Instagram, find a trainer that you love, buy their program, make communications with them. Troy Savage, he writes our programs at the moment. I've got a leg one that I'm doing, but I haven't been doing it. But it's a really good program. So I just jump on my phone and the app and he writes the programs for me. I just go down to the gym and do it. So Troy Savage is a good guy to look up. Just find someone you resonate with and then dive into their information, buy their programs, get to work, find a training partner, find someone you're accountable to. And roll from there.
Yeah, don't overcomplicate it. Things like setting targets for like 10,000 steps a day. That's a simple one, but that's still really good for you. And there's my 2 cents. Next one, things that you should aim to use / spend money on to reduce business tax.
I think everyone's sort of, I think it should be an honor that you have enough money to pay your own taxes. If you switch your mindset like that, you're not always trying to figure out ways to sort of trick the government, and if you are and if you're doing shit dodgy, it's always going to catch up to you as well. So I've really changed my mindset on this. So with one of my businesses that I run just personally on my own, I take pride in setting money to the side to pay the tax, because, and even in YKTR, like when we set our money to the side to pay our tax, like I take pride in that, because it's stressful when your quarterly BAS comes around and your tax bill is like $30,000 and you got no money to pay for it. It's fucking stressful. So take pride in it and then enjoy those moments when your BAS comes along and you've set money to the side and you can pay it. Take pride in that. Don't try and always look for the dodgy options, or there's definitely some tax evasion things you can do, and obviously, but
tax minimization, not evasion.
But find a good accountant. I use Danny. I pump him up all the time. I'm about to do business with Danny because I believe in him as an entrepreneur and an accountant. Ask him. But he's the one that sort of switched my mindset up. But he goes, take pride in the fact that you've got a business where people are willing to pay you money for your product or service, and then you have enough money to set to the side to pay your taxes. So take pride in that.
If you could rewind and do business by yourself without the boys, what would you do?
This is one of my most common questions, but definitely not. The way I've grown up, when you grow up in a small town where a lot of people don't have much, like you're taught to give, and like even going to school and having a pie, like everyone gets a bite and you got a drink, everyone gets a drink of you're just sort of taught to share. And then I'll come from that environment, being raised very well by my parents, and moved into a team environment. You'd rather the team have success than you. So if I had a chance to personally make $20 million on my own, or I could make, say, 5 or 6 or whatever, and then make the other boys like 3 or 4 or 5 as well, I'd probably sit in that direction if you ask me, because, I don't know, it'd be a pretty cool party if all the boys, you just all become millionaires. And I think about stuff like that. So it's just not for me. It's not for, I do have businesses on my own, don't get me wrong, but YKTR, started with that with the boys. I've signed the contract. I've looked them in the eyes. I've shaken their hand, and I'm taking those boys with me.
That's it for the Q&A.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll do another one next week. Later.